Hiking in New Hampshire can be particularly hypnotizing in the fall. Foliage, crunchy leaves under your feet, and cool air. For author Marianne O'Connor, it also marks the beginning of ghost story season.
I've always been into stories, and I've always loved ghost stories, but especially when they're real. And when I started talking to some of the members of the Forest Society, I started to investigate more of their properties, and it began coming together as a book.
Her book, Haunted Hikes of New Hampshire, was first published in 2008 and has recently received an update.
I know that children just have this appreciation for the outdoors, and if we can tell them more about what's happened here in this place, they'll have even of a more fascination and interest in it and wanting to keep it preserved. This is Monson Center. This was a township. It was the first pioneer inland township in New Hampshire. It was first part of Massachusetts in the 1600s. And this area struggled to survive, and it didn't survive. They left much of this behind. And what you see when you visit Monson Center is it's really an archaeological gem. These are cellar holes that have been preserved and maintained for over 200 years. People have often heard perhaps drum beats. They've seen lights. One of the mysteries that surrounds Monson is that somewhere in this land there's a cemetery. Where that cemetery is anybody's guess. Some people believe that the sound of wailing or lost cries are those of the souls that have been forgotten.
The next stop, a haunted castle that draws visitors from all over to hike around the ruins.
We are at Madame Cherie Forest in West Chesterfield, New Hampshire. It's about a 400 to 500 acre parcel of land that was gifted to the Forest Society by Anne Stokes.
Madame Cherie was a cabaret star and costume designer who was known to throw lavish parties on the property.
A lot of the locals couldn't understand what her deal was. Here was this rich woman from New York City driving around in a Packard with a fur coat and apparently nothing on underneath. So it raised a lot of eyebrows, and a lot of people believed that she may have been running a brothel. Eventually, she passed away with nothing to her name. The house here, the chateau, was vandalized and it was burned. All that's left is what you see here, the shell or the skeleton of the chateau. It was once a very grand mansion. What is said is that her spirit lives on here in this place. She is sometimes seen gliding down the staircase, perhaps to greet her guests who have come to her party. Some people will say they hear waltzing music playing in the background if they touch the staircase or the chimneys. So I've seen and met a lot of people coming out here to take photographs and to just be part of the beauty. I always feel that there's something magical about this place.
A new chapter in Haunted Hikes about sitting spirits takes us to Temple to hike and rest among lost souls.
We are in Temple, New Hampshire at the historic Birchwood Inn. And the reason this inn comes into play with Haunted Hikes of New Hampshire is as I was doing a program one day, someone mentioned to me, well, I heard the Birchwood Inn in Temple is haunted.
I have no doubt in my mind that there are spirits in this building. As we're talking right now, I've got goosebumps all over my body because that's when I know that the spirit is here and the spirit is with us, because I can actually feel her.
The chapter in Haunted Hikes of New Hampshire called The Sitting Spirits relates to the ghost at the Birchwood Inn who likes to sit and watch, but it also relates to the spirits that visit the Wapak Trail And Temple is right in the heart of the Wapak Trail, and it's a 22-mile interstate corridor that starts in Ashburnham, Massachusetts, and it ends at North Pack, Monadnock. There are some cairns at the top of Temple and along the Wapak here and there. Some of these cairns are very, like 12 feet tall. A lot of them are designed to represent pieces of furniture that you would maybe see in your living room. A couch, a lounge chair. And the story goes that these cairns were built for the spirits of the early trailblazers so that they may come back. I would often tell my children, wait, don't sit down there yet. We have to make sure there's no spirits there. And it's a great story to tell children and get them interested in hiking.
Marianne started that education young with her daughters, fostering a love for nature and land stewardship. And now, as an author and educator, she hopes her message continues to resonate with young people across the state.
And my thought and hope has always been to give children an idea of, I want to go see that place. I want to go there and know that history happened on this ground that I'm standing on. And I would hope that they may not see a ghost, not always guaranteed, but if they can have a love of the land and then keep coming back to it.